Well, thank you for having me in Kiev. No, it's a tough time. I saw there is a lot of riot and I said this is a good place to be in. And it turns out that I'm, by the way, sleeping at Maiden Square, which is, you know, you see it in the news. You usually see Israel in the news with all the mess we have. And it was amazing to see what you guys did. It's impressive. So I'll let you, and by the way, our foreign minister will not tell you that we are with you because he has some political ties to Russia, which is a big bullshit, you know? So you should know we are with you guys, which is very important. So, I'm 40, I have 4 kids. It's all girls, I'm totally fucked, by the way. You should, I'm in a big mess. The big one is 9 old. She'll start dating soon. And I don't have a gun. So it's a problem. But I started at a really early age. I grew up in Ashkelon. It's a small town, 10 miles out of Gaza. My parents, you know, were hardworking people. We didn't have anything. And every Passover, my father used to get a present from the factory that he worked in. And one day, they suggested that they gave him a TV. We had to choose which kind of a TV we want. It was a color TV or a black and white TV. So it was a color TV with a remote or without a remote. So we didn't have the money to add for the one with the remote, so we took the one without the remote. Now this is, 8 buttons. We had only one channel in Israel at the time. One channel. And every Sunday, 5:30 p.m., there was a TV show. A TV show called The Whiz Kids. This was an American show, a very politically correct show. There is a black guy, there is a girl, there is a little dog. Everything you should imagine that could be in a TV show. And those kids would go on an adventure and solve an adventure using computers somehow. You know, they had this little computer inside. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind that there is such a thing as a computer. So I begged my father. I begged my father for 2 years to buy me a computer. I was 10. And we didn't have a lot of money, and I remember myself marking a circle around the used computer section in the newspaper. I said, Dad, you don't have to buy me a new one, buy me a used one, it's okay. After 2 years, he bought me a computer, and it was this one. It's a Commodore 64. By the way, Commodore built it after Steve Jobs went to them saying, I have the Apple II, I want you to redistribute it for me. And they say, fuck you, we can build a better one. So this was the product of they tried to mimic Apple II, they did a really good job. But I don't know if you know that computer, but it has 2 serial ports, 2 ports that you plug in a joystick. Do you remember the joystick from Atari, the one with the button and the stick? So most games used to work on port number 2, which is the top one. My port number 2 didn't go left. So imagine playing Pac-Man without going left. Which, it brings you up to a level where you become really good. And actually, 6 months ago, I won a championship in Pac-Man in Israel after not playing it for 25 years. That's how good you get. So I couldn't play games. I ended up with trying to find out what I'm doing with that computer. Now you need to understand, you boot up that computer, you don't have a mouse, you don't have a floppy disk, we had cassettes, and you have this blinking cursor with basic. You needed to program that computer to do something. They expected you to write code. Now, without an internet, without any books, it's a big problem. You know what was the best way people shift software from one place in the world to another? You could say floppy disks, right? Which is very, very expensive, and only the rich people had floppy disks at the time. You could say cassettes, but cassettes are really expensive also. It takes a lot of time to copy. The popular way of doing it would be to print the program in newspaper. So we used to steal the newspaper. It was called Compute's Gazette, and we would sit at home for days punching numbers from the newspaper just to see a sprite going on the screen and say, yes, we did it. It's like, you know, you feel a sense of accomplishment. You did something. You moved something on the screen, which was, it blew my mind. My mother never understood what I'm doing there, right? If I am in the room all day doing like that, I tell her, Mom, I'm an artist. It's art. It's art. It's unbelievable. So this is how I started. I spent all my childhood writing and tweaking software and seeing what happens when you tweak it. That's how I learned how to code. Fast forward to today. Sound. צריך רעיונות קטנים ומפגרים. It says you need ideas small and stupid. So this was a TV show, a documentary that I was part of for 3.5 years in Israel, where they shot a documentary about startups. And at the end, it asks the audience, do you think he succeeded or failed? And my mother saw that preview on TV, and she said, what do you mean my boy failed? My boy didn't fail, I want to talk to the TV show. What? Give me the phone number. I said, Mom, don't worry, it's part of the show. You know, life is hard, you don't always succeed. It will be fine, don't worry. So I'll give you a preview. I failed. I completely fucked it up. I actually haven't succeeded in anything in my life, maybe besides marrying my wife. I'm so good at fucking it up that you can call me anytime. I will give you advice, I will fuck your life too. Seriously. So instead of telling you all the big things I did, which I didn't, I'll tell you all the bad things I did. So, you probably know the feeling, you have an idea, and you tell it to your friends, and you don't do anything about it, you just talk. And 3 months later, you open the news, and you hear about a big exit, and they're doing exactly the same thing like you thought about it, and said, they stole my idea, how could it be? I didn't do it, they did it, and made millions, and now they have money and everything. So I had this moment when I said, fuck it, I'm leaving everything that I do now, and I'm going to do my idea. And it started because I visited Paris for the first time. I don't know if you've been to Paris, it's a very, very romantic place. The smells of croissants is amazing. The girls are beautiful, but not as in Ukraine, I have to say. You're in a better position, yes. Men, Frenchmen with Ukraine, you have a problem. So, I do what intelligent people do. I go for the Louvre. I put my stuff in the room and I go for the Louvre. And just before I get to the Louvre, I see this amazing place, it's a patisserie. Now, I don't know if you know that, but French people are crazy about patisserie. So crazy that there was a man named Savarin who said, a dessert without cheese is like a beautiful woman with only one eye. Okay? Now, this is a very serious person. He was a lawyer, he was a governor, he wrote the first book about food, the physiology of taste. This is a serious person. So I asked them for my favorite cake, which is a sabarin, it's a millefeuille, a Napoleon cake. And she starts to wrap it for me, and I said, what are you doing? I'm eating it here. And she said, no, that's how we do it. And she was angry, you know, they don't like people, the French people, they don't like it. So I take and I open it and I unwrap it and I take a bite, and it's the best crème schnitt I ever ate. And I want to tell to the whole world that this place in Paris, snowing, has the best crème schnitt ever. And I can't. January 2009, you need to understand, Twitter didn't exist the way you know it today. Oprah Winfrey didn't hear about Twitter at the time, okay? So a week later, I'm back in Tel Aviv. I'm eating a sabarina, by the way, which is called after Savarin. And I'm taking a picture with the iPhone 1 that I had, and I uploaded it to Twitter. At the time, that's how Twitter looked like, but you could see the link, the TweetPic thing, and that service was counting how many people approached, saw your picture. And 300 people saw the picture that day. There were only 50 people in Twitter in Israel at the time. So, it was like, the internet is collapsing. 300 people saw my picture. It was totally amazing. A week later, other people started doing the same. They uploaded pictures of food, #feedme, without us telling them anything, which was amazing. And we looked at it and we said, oh my God, I think we have a startup. Seriously, we didn't have a domain, we didn't have anything. So we left everything and we went to write code. We left our work, we left everything, and we stayed at home, 3 guys, and we started to write code to make it happen. And we actually created FeedMe, which is a beautiful app that you would get recommendations about dishes around you. It was not about the restaurant, it was about the dish. So you could say, I want an amazing kartoshkes somewhere in Ukraine. It wouldn't be probably a good, but a borscht, a good borscht. You would agree with me that a good borscht is very rare in Ukrainian. Everybody serves borscht, but most of it is shit. But the one that Dennis took me is really, really good. And we wrote it, and we wanted to launch it. So we went to a conference in Israel, which is like Tech Disrupt, and I'm on stage. By the way, I have to tell you one thing. For me, I'm half Moroccan, half Libyan, okay? And for me, food is something very emotional, and I found out in a later age that it's not like that for most people, but it turns out that Savarin said that the discovery of a new dish confers more happiness on humanity than the discovery of a new star, which is true, by the way. So, getting back, I'm on stage, there's investors in the audience, there's entrepreneurs, everything. I have 7 minutes, I wave my hands, and I tell them about FeedMe. As I go down the stairs, I get this SMS. This SMS says that somebody in the audience is willing to give me $50,000 for 15%. And I said, amazing! I didn't have a business model, I didn't know that how I'm gonna make money out of it, but this looks like a good business model. I will go to conferences, I will wave my hands, I will get down, I will take the money, I will give them equity. How much equity do you want? You want 50%? Take it. You want 150%? Of course, I have unlimited funds of equity to give you. But I knew that when you take money from people, some people have a really problem to let go. They give you the money, but they hold the tip of the bill and they start to ask questions. How is my money doing? What did my money do today? Is everything okay? Let me help you. And before you know it, this guy wants to run your company instead of you. So, this guy is nice. I'm not into guys, I have to say. I'm into other form of entities. And I didn't want to go to bed with this guy. It was nice, but not my type. So I wanted to go to bed with this guy. You know who this guy is? So this is Yosi Vardi. Yosi Vardi is the reason why you even heard about Tel Aviv or Startup City or Startup Nation. He is the cause of it. Now Yosi Vardi managed to do something that was quite remarkable. He sold a company called ICQ, which is an instant messenger. He sold it to AOL for $407 million in cash. Did you see Breaking Bad? With a pile of money in the garage, that was $80 million. So imagine $407 million. This is a lot of money. So what happened is that every drug dealer in Israel read the newspaper later on and said, oh my God, this is way better than what we do, right? This is better ROI. So every drug dealer in Israel started to think, what is my next startup? And it's all because of this guy, okay? So Yosi has a special deal that he does. He doesn't like business presentations. He looks at you, he asks a bit about you, he gives you $100,000, take 20%, real common shares, really simple, and he doesn't ask any questions. He doesn't care. So Yosi told me, Yosi, you know my deal? I said, yes. He said to me, you have my permission to go to any investor and tell them that you have my deal, get a better one. I told him, Yosi, I don't want a better deal, I want you. Because Yosi is like, he is worth his weight in enriched uranium. Okay, Putin would like that very much, I think. But this guy is a super connector. He, by the way, gave the Google guys the idea about AdWords. It's actually in the book about Google. So I wanted Yosi, and Yosi, one of the side effects is that Yosi invites you to all sorts of events. One of them is DLD. If you probably know about TED, you know TED? Or probably everybody knows TED. So DLD is TED for poor people, okay? You don't have to pay $6,000 and wait in line. So he does this event where everybody's talking, and so he invites me, and I go, and I have a friend walks in at Google, and he tells me, you know, Yosi, we are about to launch a new product called Google Places. What do you think about it? So I looked at the product, and I said, guys, you have no idea what you're doing. It's completely shit. It's shit. It will never work. You have no understanding of that space. And I go on for an hour, like, you know, la 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 la. And he looks at me and he says, interesting. Interesting, you know, American people, they interesting, and why don't you, with your team, come work for us? I say, interesting. Serenity now, insanity later. The day later comes to me a guy named Anil, the M&A of Google, mergers and acquisitions. He's the guy that buys companies, and he tells me, Yosi, why don't you talk to Yossi Vardi and your wife and give me a number for FeedMe, and let's ship you to Silicon Valley and we'll buy you. And I said, interesting. And serenity now, insanity later. And, but this guy didn't know that a year before that, I worked for a company that did analytics and retargeting and got an investment from Yosi and also got an investment for this guy. This is the WPP chairman. He, many billions of dollars. He gave us $2 million and he said, guys, after 1 year, he said to us, guys, I want to buy you. Perfect. Your main investor wants to buy you. What do? You say yes, right? You say yes. They have lots of money. They know you. The due diligence is nothing. So we started to negotiate. The first mistake that we did is we negotiated for ourselves. And our lawyers started to talk to their lawyers, and time passed, and 1 month, 2 months, 3 months into negotiations, we ran out of money. But we said, you know, guys, the exit is coming. I can smell it. The money has an amazing smell, by the way. You can smell it. It's coming. And 3 more months passed on. We were 3 more months without salary. And they call us. And they say, guys, it's done. We want you to go on a plane to New York to sign the deal. And we said, yes! And I see the plane ticket, and the plane ticket says $3,000 from Tel Aviv to New York. I said, guys, what are you talking about? I can negotiate. In Israel, we negotiate everything. Give me, I will pick up the phone, we'll take it down to half. I said, Yosi, don't worry, go on the plane. I go on the plane, I go to my seat at couch. He said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to my seat. No, you're in business. I said, me in business? Are you absolutely sure? I'm coming to drug deal? Are you sure? I said, yes. And I felt totally uncomfortable, by the way. They have so much leg room, and they have 3-course meals, and they have champagnes, and I went to the bathroom, I went out, they have napkins waiting for you. It was totally amazing. And I go out of the plane, there's a guy with a hat and the name Mr. Taguri waiting for me. I took a picture, I sent to my mother, look, Mom, somebody called me Mr. Taguri. Nobody called me Mr. Taguri. And he takes us to this limousine, amazing limousine. I never saw a limousine. The last time I saw a limousine was in Dallas, in JR, getting into the car. And they had these little bottles of whiskey inside and alcohol. And he said to me, where do you want to go? I said, I don't care, wherever you want to go, just drive. It was totally really amazing. They started to take us to all sorts of things. This is Robin Williams. And they said, do you want to go to a stand-up show? I said, yes. Pick up the phone, said, you know, in a few minutes they get everything, and they took us to eat. Non-kosher food is simply amazing, by the way, amazing. And they took us to Peter Luger's. This is a huge steak. This is the real size of the steak. The first time in my life that I drank whiskey was at this place. It's $60 shots. I got drunk from $60 shots of whiskey, and I can't stand it. It's horrible. But I said, fuck it. They pay for it. I'm going to drink it. And my wife calls me and said, Yosi, is the deal signed? And I said, yes, the deal is signed. I come back home and I see 3 new friends at home, Jimmy Choo, Versace, and Gucci. My wife started buying things. So I said, fuck it, we have the money, let's do it. We started looking for a bigger car, a bigger house, everything. 3 weeks into that, nobody replies to our emails. I pick up the phone, guys, what's going on? We signed the deal. Nobody returns our calls. It turns out that this guy decided to roll back the deal. And I wanted to call him, say, Sir Martin Surel, would you mind taking the shoes that my wife bought with your money? I don't have any way on how to pay for them. But looking back at it, he did a really smart thing, because this guy didn't buy us. As an individual in the team, we were really amazing people. As a team, we sucked. We couldn't stand each other. We hated each other, which is the #1 reason why companies, why startups fail. The founders are not, going well together. So we ended up closing the company because we didn't agree on what to do next with Nuconomy. Going back to DLD, by the way, we sold it to LivePerson for pennies, and that was it. But going back to DLD and Google, this Google guy didn't know that I was just through all this. And I said to him, look, Anil, it needs to be really, really fast. It's 3 founders, 1 investor, let's do it. And I picked up the phone and called this guy. This is Tal Bar-Noach. He's a super entrepreneur, big entrepreneur in Israel, a big investor, and he knows how to negotiate. Google actually didn't want to speak to him for a few times, but we managed to do that. And he said, okay, Yossi, so how much do you want for your company? And I said, I don't know. So I went to a friend called Nimrod, and he said, Yossi, I have a system, don't worry. You take a big mirror, and you stand in front of the mirror, and you start to say numbers from low to high. And when you start laughing, you stop, okay? So I stopped around 7. So I told Tal, 7 million would be nice. And he said, you know what, we'll start with 9. $9 million. We negotiate. And I was on the phone with them together with Tal, and they say, guys, we're gonna do this and that. And I'm with Tal, and he said, yes, and Tal, keep quiet, don't be, I'll close it for you. And he actually explained to me what they mean when they say something, which is a very, very important thing. Always take somebody to negotiate for you, never do it yourself, because you are too emotionally attached to the program, and when money comes to the table, you say yes, you don't care, okay? So we set out the deal to $6.5 million, which was nice, and Marissa Mayer was supposed to sign the deal in a week from the draft, and so what could go on, basically. So this guy decided to stop all M&A in Google. He became CEO, he took Eric Schmidt, put it aside, took Marissa Mayer, who was supposed to sign the deal, took her out of the inner circle, which resulted, by the way, with her being a Yahoo CEO now, and they canceled the whole thing. He owes me $6.5 million, right? I will collect it, by the way. Be sure of that. I will collect it with interest. So I was broke again, and I had nothing to do because we couldn't decide what to do next. So we closed the company. And during one weekend, there was an event called Global Game Jam where they encourage you to build games in 48 hours. You come in with nothing, you get out with a game. Okay? Pretty stupid, right? So, a friend of mine, Eyal Shachar, he said, let's do it, and I have this game I created a long time ago for the web. It's a voice-activated game. Let's do it. And as we were talking, planning how to do that, Israel on the side, he started shouting at his computer, saying, And he said, Israel, what are you doing? He said, this is fine. We have a prototype working. So 20 minutes, and he has a prototype. So we worked on it a bit more, and it was ready that weekend, but we didn't do anything. We said, guys, let's launch it. We worked on it 8 hours in total. Let's launch it. Let's upload it to the App Store and see what happens. So we got an email from Apple saying the app is in review. Apple takes 7 days at least 7 days to approve anything because the Holy Spirit of Steve Jobs needs to do something. I don't know what. And we decided to shoot a video of people reacting to the game. This is how it looked. Audio. הסאונד שולט. Sorry. הסאונד שולט. So these guys, they don't get it. And we said, oh my God, this is the first time that anybody outside of the team see that, and they don't get it. What do we do? So we went to sleep. It was Wednesday. It turns out that somewhere around 2 a.m., Apple actually approved it. And 2 hours after that, the biggest blog in the world for games picked it up. And that was their first review.
Hey everybody, this is Mike Fahey, and welcome to the most ridiculous video I've ever done. You'll see why I say to use pa, but da works better for me, it seems. Da. Oh, son of a gun. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Da. I can't talk about the game when I'm going da. Son of a bitch.
And it was amazing. We were like #1 in the Israeli store. It cost $1 and it's like 12 downloads in Israel. They're cheap bastards. And we started picking up, and it was pretty amazing because we didn't tell anybody. It just happened. And a day after that, we got hacked. Somebody, jailbroken is, just hacked the app and uploaded it. Now everybody with a jailbroken iPhone can download it for free. And I said, I don't believe it. It's like, who are they? We will start a war out because of this. Don't they know that we Israelis nuked the nuclear bomb in Iraq? Don't they know not to fuck with us? And it's probably Chinese or somebody. And I was pissed off. I felt like they are taking the food out of my kids' mouth. And I have a lot of kids, and they eat a lot. And you need to understand that we at home, we live by pa at the time. And my smallest one, now she's not the smallest one, she was 1 year at the time, I caught her doing something I didn't believe. This is what I saw. The first word she ever said, right? So I was a bit angry, and I was very vocal about it. You know, I'm half Moroccan, half Libyan. Both countries are not known for the human rights movement. I was angry, okay? And so I told all my friends on Facebook and Twitter, and I have a friend who is doing security stuff, and he said, you know, Yossi, I found the guy. I found the guy, and he posts videos on YouTube. So I wrote him an email. And this is the number one thing that you learn when you work for an American enterprise. You never write emails when you are angry. Okay, so Moroccans and Libyans cannot write emails at all. Okay, so I said, you know, you hacked our game, we worked very hard on it, your ass is in the water, our ass is in the water, we'll find you and we'll kill you, basically. And he didn't respond for that nice email. And a few days later, my friend tells me, you know, I found him on Facebook. I said, nice, I friended the guy. And I waited. And a few days later, this is not a very smart guy. He actually approved me. And I went into the chat with him and I said, how could you do this to us? Haven't the Jewish people suffered enough? And he said, no, it's not me, it's not me, it's somebody else. And as we were talking, he took out the links and they were out. Day later, they were back on, somebody else did it. And my parents, my partner said to me, you know, Yossi, as long as people are having fun, so be it. Serenity now, insanity later. If I'll find the guy, I'll kill him, by the way. He's an Israeli, by the way. Out of all the Chinese people, an Israeli hacked our game. So, and then, the Taiwan people found out about the game. Now, if you have a startup, and you have a graph that is going up like this, you have money in the bank. It doesn't matter what the graph says, okay? It means it's good, okay? And they started to shoot videos. And it keeps on going. There are other people that have more time on their hands in Taiwan. Points don't matter. And then China found out about it. Now I don't know if you know that, but China has a lot of Chinese people. And they started downloading it. It doesn't have a gyroscope, by the way. It doesn't do anything when you do that. It's just the voice. And it keeps on going, and Israeli guys always with drugs, by the way. You see it's enhancing the experience with Pa. This is what happens everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are, you always play it with groups, you're always having fun, which was amazing. So, one thing that we did during the whole process of having Pa is that we shared the numbers with everybody. How many downloads, how much money did we make, and everything. So this is how many downloads. We passed the 1.5 million a few weeks ago, which is pretty amazing because in the lifetime of a game, the average is around 10,000 downloads. Nobody knows about your game usually, which is a big problem. This is how many are. By the way, Yoku, there is the parallel universe in China for YouTube. It's called Yoku. Millions and millions of views of Chinese people playing Pa. It's quite amazing. This is how many gameplays. This is how many people shouted "Pa." I'm pretty proud of it. You could see, by the way, that Android users are less happy than iOS users, and I also have a pie chart to show you that it is a science fact. Okay? So by the way, that's how much money we made. You know why? Because most of it was pirated, right? Which is something you have to deal with when you charge money for your service. So what's next for us? By the way, we made part 2. We made around $150 out of part 2. We worked on it for a whole year, and it didn't work. It didn't work. My personal opinion on why is because we tried too hard to make it work, and we couldn't. So it also had 3D. This is very inspiring. Also, this is very inspiring. By the way, pirates, #1 pirated country we had with PA is China. The #1 paying country we had is China. Interesting, huh? Something to think about. So then we said, it's really, really fun working together. Let's do something with it. And we started a new company. We started a new company, and it's in the first 2 years of that company, we just shipped software. We were building an app every month, and we were shipping it every month. For Android, for iOS, for Windows Mobile, it didn't matter where. We just shipped software. We learned how to ship an idea in 4 weeks. We had an idea, you draw it on the board, and you ship it in 4 months. And we became very, very good at it. And out of that, grew 3 companies. One company, which is called Learny, it's an education app. It got a few $1 million investment. We have a big team that is running it right now. It's pretty successful. The second one is called Wonder Mall, which is how do you buy products on an iPad, which is a big problem, by the way. How do you get to Gap and Bebe and everything from a native experience? And this also raised around $4 million in Silicon Valley, and it's quite successful. It's about to launch. It's not successful yet. It's about to launch this month. And another one, which I'm the CTO of, is called Yellow, which is going to revolutionize the way you speak on the phone, because that experience hasn't been changed yet. It's the same old 2 cans and a string with phone calls today, and we are going to change that. You can, by the way, download it. It's yellowapp.com from the App Store. So, you know Nike, just do it. Let me add one more word to Nike. Just fucking do it. Because if you have an idea, and you don't work on it, and you don't do it, and you give service to somebody else, which is unheard of, you're both stupid and ugly. You should never ever give service to anyone. If you want to be a slave for the rest of your life, do it. Sure, that's not a problem. But you have everything you need to do stuff. You have a computer and you have an internet connection. That's all you need to do. And in 4 weeks, you can change everything for yourself, for your friends, for your family, for your country. Yosi, I want to tell you why it's very important to ship very fast software. It turns out that our mind is split into two parts, the instinct one and the computational one. When you go driving a car and there's a parking spot, you know that the car will get in, right? You know, because that's the instinct part. There is a guy who learned how to sort chicks from male to female. Up to this point, they had to grow the chicks to be small chickens. They had to grow the chickens to be 6 weeks old until they could say it's a boy or a girl. So this guy found out how to do that in 3 weeks. So the way that he trains other people is they sit in front of him and he has a constant stream of chicks. So if the guy, on the right side is male, on the left side is female, if the guy that is teaching is wrong, they slap him on the head. Every time that he's wrong, they slap him on the head. After 3 weeks, He has 98% of success. When they asked him, how do you know how to solve them? He said, I feel it, I don't know how. And startups is exactly the same. You try again and again. Most people, after the first failure, they go and work as slaves for somebody else. Maybe 10% of you, or 20% of you will persist. Another one, and another one, and another one. And Yosi Vardi told me this: the number of possible failures for any entrepreneur is finite. Eventually, you won't fail. Thank you very much.